All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of hashtag Myron Kaming Advice with your corporate enter trainer, your soft skills go-to guy, and your buddy to success mentor, Myron Santana. It's April 20th, and we hope that everybody has been having a great time with their family, enjoying their Saturday night. And as you guys enjoy your very precious moments with your loved ones, we would like to invite you to sit down, join us for another Saturday night or evening of high impact inspiration and learning. Of course, care of and thanks to the generosity of our every Saturday guests. And as everybody already knows, for this fifth episode of hashtag Myron Coming Advice, we've been featuring our fellow top 100 Filipinos to follow for inspiration and learning on LinkedIn. And tonight is not going to be any different because we have a resource person who's going to empower us, who's going to share his blessings in life with us so that we would be successful or more successful in life in general or in our respective business or in the corporate world, whatever our work or job is. Okay. So before we introduce our guest resource person for tonight, I would love to highly encourage everyone to share this live stream. You can watch and listen to us simultaneously on Facebook page via our Facebook page, Mentor Myron Santana. Of course, our YouTube channel, Mentor Myron Santana as well. You can also try to look up the Corporate Enter Trainer. And of course, we can be watched and listened to on our LinkedIn profile as well. There you go. Okay. So, because you know what? Our topic for tonight is really very interesting. If you guys are a leader or would want to become a leader or is already, being groomed to become a leader by your company, and you're coming from the technical background, of course, when we say technical, it's either you're in engineering, you're in production, you're in you're a chemist or whatnot. All right. So just to give you a preview of what we're going to talk about tonight, and to remind you as well, just in case you already saw this before during the entire promotion. So our topic is going to be, okay, one moment. There you go. The technical expert as a leader. Okay. So can you be a leader if you're a technical expert? Okay. So how are you going to transition to become a leader? And how can you make being technical expert and leader work together or work collaboratively? Okay. So those and more. So without further ado, let me introduce to you our guest resource person for tonight with pride and honor, of course. Our guest resource person is a coach, trainer, author of 12 published books, and a speaker. And just like yours truly, he's a top 100 Filipino to follow for inspiration on LinkedIn. So he got that back in 2021, and he got that again this year, last year, 2023. Okay. He's a certified executive coach from the Center for Executive Coaching. He's a certified transformative coach, advanced level from the Coach Masters Academy. And he's also a course director and master trainer for the Center for Best Global Practices, a coach for LJMB training, an active Toastmasters member, and a regular column writer for the monthly Philippine Society for Talent Development e-magazine named Leader Coach. So without further ado, let me introduce to you our guest resource person, Coach Nelson B. Hi, Coach.
Hello, Mentor Myron, and thank you for having me here. I'm so happy to be here.
All right, and same here. I'm as happy as you are because I might be the host of the show, but I'm doing two things at the same time. I'm hosting it, I'm leading the conversation, but I'm learning at the same time. So personally, I appreciate this moment, this time with you, Coach Nelson. So, how has your weekend been so far? Your Saturday?
Oh, the Saturday has been great because I had already a coaching demo. As you've seen that I'm also an executive coach. So one of my things is to keep on sharpening. So I'm so privileged to be practice coach to a practice client and it went very well.
Okay, and same here, like what I said, I'm learning at the same time from you. And this topic is really very interesting. And I would really like to know more about you, your humble beginnings, like even as early as college until your very first job, until your ascent to leadership position. So you're going to talk about the technical expert as a leader. So is it like all throughout your corporate experience, you've been a technical expert? And what kind of technical expert in particular?
Okay, let me start first. When I was young, I was a nerd. I was an introvert and an only child. So deadly combination, no? So because of that, while the neighbor kids were out there playing basketball, I was there with my science books and my DC comic books. So I may not be able to know how to dribble a ball, but my sentence construction was superb, hard. Because of that, I decided to become, let's say, I wanted to be a scientist, but I
Mhm.
decided to go into the scientist plus commercial world, which is engineering, particularly chemical engineering. So
Chemical engineer. Okay.
yes, and after that, again, nerd thing. I would spend time in a library. I had no lab life, by the way. Okay, it's all formula, all tables, all graph, and all exams. I passed with honors, and then
Wow.
after that, I got a new job quickly, and I was a shift engineer, and that's when
Mm.
my first exposure, which I think I don't know about now, but at that time, college did not prepare me for. It is to deal with people. I think you know the drill. If you're in college, you have to memorize things, you have to calculate, you have to
Right.
answer questions, but to lead a team, let alone motivate a team, deliver results, that's what we have to learn in the real world after graduation. So I had to learn the hard way. And along the way, also, I got to be curious about what makes people buy products. So I took a detour getting an MBA. And that
Mm.
expanded my thinking even more because then I realized being technical is not enough. You also have to think
Yeah,
about marketing, finance, HR, even communications. And
correct.
when I got my first job after MBA, that's when I really grew in terms of personal development to the point that now I have the best of both worlds. I can speak the technical language of customers and I can process it through business. So I got into involved into industrial sales and marketing. And then afterwards I got to be hired by Asia Brewery, and
Mm.
I went full circle. They asked me, Nelson, we are reorganizing. Can you lead our factory? One of the factories, by the way. And after about 2 years, they gave me a second factory. So by the time I retired, I handled a factory about 200 people with two major operations. And that is my journey there. That's why I'm so passionate about people, whether in IT, financial analysts, quality control, yes, engineer. In due time, they have to level up to the point that they have to lead an entire organization. That's where we are now.
Right. Two follow-up questions, Coach Nelson. Number one, I heard that you were a ship engineer. So what did you mean by that? Like you were part of the team that was building a ship, repairing ship, maintaining ship? What?
Sorry, I meant shift. SHIFT.
Oh,
Night shift delivery.
SHIFT. Okay, I get it now. Okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying. And then second follow-up question, right? Like as a as a technical expert, I mean, could you please share with our audience both the fun part of it and the challenging part of it?
The fun part of it is this. If you love numbers, you would love algebra, analytical geometry, etc. If you love data, facts, you love astronomy, you'll gobble up all the latest science books. There's no internet there yet. So all those internet right now is going to be books. Remember encyclopedias? That's how far back I was. The other one, what's so challenging about is this would be how you're now going to apply that in the real world. Because you've heard of the stereotype, you have so much knowledge, but you don't know how things work in real life. So the
Yeah.
challenge is to be the bridge. And engineering, by the way, for those who are engineers out there, we're the bridge between the technical world and the business world. And so
Right.
that's one way to find out how you get your purpose, your niche in life, if that will be your inclination.
Right. It's like pretty much similar to when you said the bridge between technical world and business world. It's like an analogy or correlation as well with the bridge between theories and then practicality or application. Correct.
That's true. And it can also go further like this. It's the bridge between the laboratory and making money. Because
Yeah.
let's face it, an organization with a set of a factory, they're out there to make money. But of course, you have to do it what? Efficiently, very competitively. And that's where we in the technical field can help the business people how to get more bang out of your bucks.
Yeah. And when you started working for Brewery, as you mentioned, right, were you really able to make the most of what you had studied in chemical engineering, or were you brought to a totally different world, although you still were able to practice engineering? What was it? How was it?
That's true. And I was able to practice it in at least two fronts. One, I was selling bottles. And it's
Mm,
a in effect it's one sense it's a technical product because then if you understand and if you go to a glass plant how the bottles are made and that's where I can also then understand how does the bottle work, how to use and abuse a bottle, and if there's a defect you know the technical reasons for that, which brings me to number two. If you're able to sell to a customer, why are you selling bottles for glass instead of
yeah.
say PET or let's say Tetra Pak? So you have an idea why. But the other thing is this: if the customer complains your bottle has this problem, etc., and you examine the problem, you will know at least one, the reason is this, and we know what caused the problem. Let me correct it for you. Or two, you put on your PSDD hat, you put on your PSDM hat, and you analyze what went wrong in the plant, what will be the whys, and why did this defect happen in the first place, and assure the customer we found the problem, we make a corrective action, give us another chance. Because I think in the customer world, they'll give you this. You have to have give me a root cause analysis, especially the
Yeah.
quality control people of the customer. Give me
Mm,
a CCAR, give me an NCAR, give me all those things for QMS purposes. So that's where we come in. As I said, a salesperson, that's where I was started in Asia Brewery. When you have a technical background, You'll be able to speak the customer's language when it comes to technical or quality. And that's where now you have the bridge for better relationships.
Right. I was about to get there, right? Like in that kind of scenario and what you were doing, you must be very or pretty good at what we call problem solving and decision making, right? And what is involved there is finding the root causes of the problems, why things happen, and of course being able to provide the corresponding corrective action, right, coach?
Correct. Because, for example, I've been in sales also at one point, and I think you know the experience. Customer calls you, come to our factory. Oh no, what's happened? They'll show you this bottle. There's a
Yeah.
defect there. And right then, you may want to say, okay, I think the problem is this, this, this. Let me go back to the plant, talk to my technical people, straighten up for you, get back to you with solutions. Because, of course, you have to keep the customer happy. You don't
Yeah.
want to lose them. And therefore, part of it is to be responsive, but also knowledgeable.
Correct. They don't want to see or hear problems. What they want to see or hear would be solutions, right?
Yes, not
Okay.
excuses.
Yes, that's
You
right.
know that too.
Excuses are not acceptable.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
correct. Coach
So
Nelson, yeah, while I know you're about to like walk us through your very informative presentation. Let's just and so that you can set up for it, right? Let me just acknowledge a few individuals here who have already commented on our live stream. Number one, let's show it up here. We have Real Estate Villa. Good evening, mentor and Coach Nelson. Another interesting topic. Interesting indeed, Real Estate Villa, because this is about how a technical expert like Coach Nelson, a chemical engineer, can be a leader. Okay. And then we also have here Amazing Life Hacks TV. Good evening, mentor and Sir Nelson. There you go. And we also have Life Hacks 101 TV. Good evening. By the way, just to give you an idea who these guys, wonderful guys are, they're a part of our YouTuber community. So these are fellow YouTubers. So thank you guys for always tuning in, supporting hashtag Myron Kaming Advice. And of course, let's not forget Coach Ian or Sensei Ian
oh,
Santos. I
Ian.
almost
Hello,
forgot.
Ian.
Sensei
And
Ian Santos, one of our sales gurus. Hello, Mentor Myron and Coach Nelson.
and belated happy birthday.
Oh, okay. So it was his birthday when exactly?
I think it was yesterday or the other day.
It was yesterday. Belated happy birthday, Sensei Ian, who is going to be very soon part of our team, if, of course, everything goes well. Okay, and yes, there's just a follow up comment from Life Hacks 101 TV. Indeed, Myra. Thank you so much, guys, for following. All right, so we are now very curious and wanting, Coach Nelson, the technical expert as a leader. What is this all about? Go ahead, take it away, Coach Nelson, and let me know if your presentation is already up so we can show it to our viewers.
All right, so let me now go to my, see if I
No
can
problem.
open it.
While Coach Nelson is pulling up his presentation, guys, once again, this is a very interesting topic, especially if you identify with it because you're a technical expert yourself and you're already a leader, or you would want to become a leader. So make sure that you guys share this around. Okay. So I believe Coach Nelson is already. So here you go. So what
Thank
is
you
this
very
about? A technical expert as a leader. Take it away, Coach.
Thank you very much, Mentor Myron, and hello, everyone. Thank you for sharing your Saturday night with us. My goal is to give you as much value as possible. So, today we're going to talk about the technical expert as a leader. But even if you don't see yourself as a technical person, there's still a lot of things here for you for leadership. So, let me first find out with you what do you understand about being technical? What makes a technical expert technical? The broad definition is that if you're an expert in machines, process, or materials, you're a technical person. Okay, so you may be one of those people who can fix machines, but you wish you can fix people. Don't you have feelings like that? Sometimes you have this difficult office mate, and you wish you can just push a button here and there, or just pull a lever, and the guy behaves. Well, good luck with that. Or you may be a leader and then you'll rather crunch numbers. Remember, numbers turn me on instead of leading people in crunch time. So if that's you, this deck is for you. And you will get the feeling that as you assume a leadership role, you'll discover that being technical is not enough. it can only get you so far. Learning how to operate a machine may not help you how to lead this group, let alone motivate it or deliver. And so that's where you have this particular notion that you have to grow or evolve along the way. So here is my brief journey wherein I showed you like I love math. I told you numbers turn me on. I love algebra. I love geometry. Okay. But of course, if I just do that, then where will I be? So I start with math. That's a very hard skill. It's also science, chemical reactions, physics, and that sort of thing. When I got my first job, of course, I had to learn how the machines work, how to operate the machines, and how to have at least an idea how to repair the machine. But also, something happened along the way. I had to lead people. I was a shift engineer where I had to lead 5 or 6 people, and these are, by the way, vocational people, not necessarily college graduates like you, and you have to speak their language. Okay, gone are the days are the Konya where I had to be English and then I have to be Taglish with them. Not only that, I had to learn also how to make them do stuff, motivate them, and discipline them when needed. And that's something which
Was
I
your
never.
assignment here in Manila, Coach?
It was in Pasig.
In Pasig, I see. Yeah. So
Yes.
Taglish or Tagalog indeed.
Yeah,
But did
that's
you like
true.
speak pure Tagalog or not really? You're having hard time. It must be Taglish.
Yeah, it was Taglish, but even then I had to really learn how. But as you can see, I'm more comfortable with English. Remember, I grew up reading comic books, American DC comic books, sorry, Marvel fans, but more of Superman and Batman. So
Right.
actually, that served me later because I was able to communicate well. As you can see, the next level is to communicate not just verbally, but also in written form. And of
Correct.
course, when you make technical reports or presentation to the higher ups, di pwede Taglish. English dapat. Lalo
Yeah.
na if you are talking to Japanese expats. Okay. Now, after that, as you get to be more and more involved, you have more and more problems. Of course, okay, who does not have any problems in the workplace? And that's where you have PSDM, problem solving, decision making, and critical thinking. And as we go along, the more challenges you get, the more you know how to manage your time instead of being overwhelmed or being, let's say, overworked. And then afterwards, I get the notion that, yeah, I need to have people by my side, people I can call for help, and those that I can help. That's networking. Along the way, also, you get an idea that finally, it's not all technical, it's emotions. And I think you
Yeah.
know the drill. People think they're rational beings, but actually, we're all emotional beings, but we cover that with logic. And so you have an idea now, you have to deal with people, not just data, but also their emotions, happy, sad, angry, offended, that sort of thing. In fact, like I
Right.
said,
People,
it's,
pathos, logos, right, Coach Nelson?
yeah, that's true, that's true. And then as I got higher and higher, because after, like I said, I got hired in Asia Brewery in industrial sales, selling bottles. Then there was a reorg. They saw my technical background, my previous jobs in a factory, the first job in Pasig. They asked me, can you run one of our plants? And that's the plant for making cartons. Then a few years later, the other plant manager retired, so they gave me the second plant, the one of crowns, Tansan. Okay, if you know the
Tansan.
Cobra crown, Tansan, yeah, Tansan. If you know the Cobra
So
product,
cartons and then Tansan. Okay,
yes,
gotcha.
two of them side by side. Okay, and that's where now I had to lead not just an organization, I had to lead a business because a plant is not just there to make things; it's to be profitable, and therefore we have to look at SWOT analysis, strategy, competitive analysis, and all those resources we need. So we have to go through strategic planning. And also then realize that you make the best plans in the world, but if your people are not up there, it's not going to work. So therefore, we have to develop people, and the one I fell in love with also lately is coaching and mentoring. Now, the point is this: this may mirror going to be your career. If you're an engineer, this can be your path, or it can be a similar path if you're going to be, let's say, from IT to CIO, or let's say from head scientist to, let's say, a director of a research firm. The point is that you're going to be forced to evolve to have more and more soft skills. And that's
Absolutely.
where we have the usual thinking that when you are a technical person, chances are that's your entry level. You're hired because of your technical know-how, as proven by a degree or certificate. And you have certain skills. Usually it's tangible, operate a machine, or it's something measurable, like how many sales you can make. But afterwards, you get to have more and more need for the softer skills, time management, for example, or problem solving. Right now, it can be collaboration, teamwork, and of course, let's not forget communications. So the higher you go up, the more responsibilities you have, the more people you handle, soft skills will play a bigger role. Okay, and this is one of my favorite slides because when you are a technical person, remember, chances are you are introvert. Chances are, and that's why you're more comfortable with the process. Why? You can control a process. Just tell me the parameters, temperature, pressure, speed. And these are quantifiable. I can measure it. And this is reasonably predictable. If I do X, what will happen is Y. Do X, you get Y. X, Y, X, Y, X, Y, usually.
Right. It's
And
like Coach
now,
Nelson, you're saying that unavoidably you form your own little world because you have to focus on the analysis, right?
correct. And when you're a technical person by yourself, you're the master of your domain. You are the lord of that domain. And then people come in. And your perfect world gets a bit shattered because you'll notice that you cannot really control people, you can lead them. And usually you cannot quantify. How can you quantify, say, attitude? So you have a lot of sentences, words, discussion, which are not necessarily numbers. These are qualitative. And of course, people are unpredictable. I do something to John, and I do hope John will respond in this way. But maybe John will behave in a different way, maybe
Mhm.
better, maybe bad. And what will work for John may not work for Joanna. See,
Yeah.
that's where, people, I'll rather have process because I know what I'm going to get the next time around. And
Different
that's
strokes for different folks, right, Coach?
that's true. And that's true. And you have to be like a chameleon. Now you have to blend. You have to be having your radar up and you have to have a little bit of a prediction process. And that's where you are now. When you're becoming a leader, your comfort zone gets to the point where you have to deal with people, not machines, not numbers. Machines will not talk back to you. Numbers will not go on strike. But people, that's where the challenge comes in. Okay, and so for the bulk of this discussion, I'm going to propose three new domains you must learn. There are more, but for the sake of this discussion, I'm going to offer three: emotional intelligence, leadership communications, and business sense. Okay, these
And
are
Coach
three.
Nelson, before you deep dive into those three domains, emotional intelligence, leadership communications, business sense, I hope you don't mind, Coach Nelson, if we just go on commercial break real quick. Then
Sure.
afterwards, we're going to talk about these in detail. So, guys out there, our dear viewers, please stay put. We will come back. Coach Nelson will come back. And make sure that you are sharing hashtag Myron Coming Advice because this episode is very interesting. Okay. All right. We'll see you guys again in a bit. Okay, welcome back to hashtag Myron Kaming Advice. You're still with Mentor Myron. And before we bring back in our guest resource person again, we humbly suggest and encourage you guys to please share this around. We're talking about the technical expert as the leader. So let's now bring back in Coach Nelson B to continue with his talk about technical expert as a leader. Go ahead, Coach.
Thank you, Mentor Myron, and hello, welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Now, at the second phase, this is where the meat comes in. If you're a technical expert and you transition to a leader of a team, a department, a division, maybe even an overall company, or you have plans to start your own enterprise, and even if you're not a technical expert, there are lessons here for leadership. Now, there are three new domains I recommend you must learn. This is not all of it, but for the purposes of this session, we're going to have the top three, what I consider as must have if you're going to succeed or fail. The first one is emotional intelligence. You've heard this a lot. And remember, I was a nerd. Guess who was my childhood hero? Yeah? So that's why my apologies for those who believe in the force. But this is my childhood hero because he is so logical. He makes
Star
sense.
Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek. And so he can, analyze things in his head. It's like a walking computer. Oh, I want to be like him. Unfortunately, the real world is not Vulcan. Okay, so that's where now you have this particular notion that you need more than just intellect. You need more than just the ability to think. You have to relate to people, and people, as I said, are emotional creatures. And let me
Side.
tell you a story wherein I like stories, so I'm going to give you some to make this a bit more practical. I had this operations head, let's call him Tony, and we had him go through a 360. And the major feedback is this: the machine operators, the ones who report to Tony, said, Tony shouts at us and thinks only he has the answer. And of course, they are, demotivated, etc. So in a
Know it all.
360 review, I had to have this confrontation, this difficult conversation, and also segue to coaching. And you know what was his defense? His paradigm was like this: Sir, this was how I was trained. And if I can make it, why can't they? The story is that when Tony was at their level years ago, when he was also an operations machine operator, his
Mhm.
boss shouted at him and spoon feed him with everything, dictate, dictate, dictate. And Tony thought that's the way to run a machine, a team. And so guess what? He said, if I took it and now I'm an operations head, why can those guys, those young guys out there, the ones I'm leading, how come they cannot take it? What's wrong with them? And so that's where we had to have this coaching conversation until the insight came in, light bulb in his head. Not everybody is like you. What works for you
Yes.
does not work
Perfect.
for them. And that's where we had this unfolding for him emotional intelligence. And I think you're familiar with this quadrant. We're in on
Yes,
the
I
upper
am.
left. Yeah, we love this quadrant. He became aware of his emotions. I didn't know I was shouting. I thought I'm relating them in my ordinary tone. Sir, you're shouting. Okay, so at least now he's aware. He's highly excitable. He's quite sometimes can be a bit hot-headed. He's
Mhm.
aware. Then if you shift to the upper right, he became aware of the effect of his actions on his people. It's
Mhm.
so demotivating, they're hurt, they're unhappy, and some of them actually they complain to HR, and some of them, a handful, they said bye bye, I'm going to another company. And so later on, as we developed him, his IDP, individual development plan, he became more on, let's say, on the self management. The moment I feel that I'm going to shout because I'm upset or I'm angry, I have to capture myself, switch, and have to really make an effort to be in a calmer tone, respectful dialogue, even to the point of soliciting their ideas. And guess what? He's into the realm of the lower right, relationship management, where he can now have better relationships with the machine operators. It worked. They're more motivated now, and actually performance came up. Yields, for example, productivity went up, and all because of this particular sense of emotional intelligence. Why is this important? Because when Tony was just a machine operator, he was by himself, just him and the machine. Don't get me wrong, he's so good that even if the machine makes a certain amount of noise, he knows something's wrong and can tell you where it was wrong. The technical expert. Now he got to be supervisor level and then operations head level. And guess what? He carried the baggage from IC to leader. He was shouting at people, and
Mhm.
he only I have the answer. Now, with this particular emotion intelligence exercise, he became more and more an effective leader. And the points like this, I talked with an IT head. He started his own software firm. He said something like this: Nelson, the reason why technical people are so poor in EI or communication because, let's say, a software programmer, day in
Mhm.
and day out, most likely he's just in his cubicle typing algorithms and whatever in his laptop.
Right.
And it's not like he's going to talk with the guy on the other side of the cubicle. Because of that, his EI, his communication muscles have atrophied. And then when you throw him into the leadership pond, what will I do now? What will I do now? And that's where for you to become an effective leader, coming from the technical world, emotional intelligence is vital. And I would say it's foundational because that's also going to be the foundation of coaching, problem solving, teamwork, collaboration. So in my case, for me, EI is foundational. It's the cornerstone of any person, technical or not, to succeed in life, especially if you are more into numbers and machines. Okay. Second, it is leadership communications. Now we communications is broad. Okay, there is public speaking, presentation skills, business writing, technical writing. But the one that
Interpersonal, interdepartmental, right?
yeah, inter and intra. And remember, you're also talking to suppliers, customers, maybe media, maybe government, compliance agencies, and don't forget top management. Okay?
Yeah, upward,
Yeah,
right?
the real boss, the one who pays your salary, and has the power to promote you or kick you out. So leadership communications is also important because remember, you're not a leader. You're not
Yes.
just there to give equations, or you're not just there to give step one, two, three, four. You now have to be leading people, and communications is key. Here's an exercise. If I were to have this workshop, I'll ask you, are you familiar with jargon monoxide? Yeah,
Jargon monoxide.
yeah, because an engineer would tend to say jargony words. For example, we make this one. Remember, I said corrugated carton. I don't know if you can see this. You can see what
Yes,
this.
I
This is
can.
the one.
We can.
The one is the yeah. The one is in the supermarket. Supposing I tell you, Mentor Myron, we use a corrugating process to make flutes out of a medium, and then we laminate them so that then you have the upper layer and the inner layer, and there is your corrugated box.
Mhm.
Huh? What is that? Am I speaking Martian? But suppose I would explain to you, we take a piece of paper, run through a machine that makes an up and down folding shape.
Corrugated, yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and then you put glue on each of the tips. Then you press an upper layer of paper, flat surface, and another one below, and that's it. Basically, that's it. So
Yeah, part
notice now,
cuts, yeah. Mm.
yeah, notice now how it's readily understandable, especially if you are a non-technical person. And the challenge is this, and one of the things we can do in the exercise, not now, of course, is that if you have a process, whether it's IT, whether it's finance, I mean, look, balance sheet, credit, debit, wow, and all those quality and all those R&D, and of course, manufacturing, can explain your process that a 5-year-old can understand. If you can do it, you are a superb communicator. And that's where now
I
it's
will
the
I will give it a go, Coach Nelson. I will explain the training design process to my toddler later on. Let's see if it does make sense to the kid.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so now we go here. And that's what happens when you are having poor communication. Mistakes can be made. Okay, and those mistakes can be costly, time consuming. It may even ruin your organization. Imagine if you're the leader now and you give unclear directions or ambiguous statements. You heard the term, akala ko, maling akala. And then what happens? Time is wasted because people were doing the wrong things. Or the customer is displeased because there was a mistake in the order processing or in the manufacture. And of course, people may feel confused. And when there's confusion, there is demotivation. And that's where it is also important for us to be clear as possible. And one of the things is this is very basic. It's to give direction. In some other cases, is to delegate. And if you're a technical person, gone are the days wherein your output is just you yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Your output is now through working through others. You have to leverage the strengths and minimize the weaknesses of your team. And sometimes it can be as simple as being explicit who will do what when. Because I've been to several cases where people don't know who's supposed to do this and that, and there's confusion. I heard of action plans where many person in charge. No, 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 no. Only one person in charge. Okay, one team leader, one person I can chase if something goes wrong. Only one guy to be held accountable, rather than who's accountable, who's going to be responsible. Five people. No, 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 no. Give me just one. Give me just one. Okay, and that's also sometimes that you may ask them to repeat the instructions so you'll be able to have alignment. Sometimes you may need to tell them why. I'm going to ask you to operate this machine. And aside from telling you how to use it, I'll tell you why, the science behind it. Oh, sir, now I understand. And now I understand if I do this instead of that. Now I understand why this defect happens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's why you also have a certain patients that you may have to explain why instead of just saying, sabi ko eh. Okay, so that's where leadership comes in. It's also to educate and equip your people so that they also, when they know why, they may even know how to improve the process and you'll be happy. The second one, and I love this one, is this. You have discussion because, like I said, problems will come. And the best tip I can give people is this: you explore what is positive and possible. Have you had persons like this, sir? We cannot do it. There's no budget. There is no manpower. Okay, the boss will shoot it down. Blah blah blah. Of course, you don't want that kind. What do you do? Okay, you cannot be like Mr. Spock. You now have to discuss this with your people, but to gear them towards what is positive and possible. Coaching helps, but let me give you a story. Okay, remember we run machines, we make products, and there were times where the machine breaks down, it
Yeah.
stops, and we had to call our technicians, go and check it out, troubleshoot it. It would take them hours, and as you know, when the machine is down for hours, that's lost production, that's going to be costly. So we have a problem solving meeting, and you'll notice the conversation is a bit like coaching or the five whys. Okay, so how can we, what can it take to shorten troubleshooting time? And somebody mentioned this, sir, we cannot shorten because we don't have access to the software. What software are you talking about? Sir, this is a Japanese machine. If you ask the Japanese OEM, they can do remote linkage, go to the software of the machine, and find out immediately what's wrong. Oh, how come we cannot do it? Sir, they will not share with you the software. Why? Because it's proprietary. So, because they are afraid that we may steal it, clone it, sell it to some other guy. Okay, so what will it take for them to give us access? So we brainstorm, brainstorm, and we hit upon the idea of an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. So we talked to the Japanese guys, and they huddled a bit and say, "Okay, Nelson-san, okay, we are agreeing. We'll give you this NDA contract. Sign, sign, sign." Guess what? They gave us the software. We have a dedicated laptop only for that purpose, password protected. Only three people can access. And guess what? Troubleshooting time goes down. Why? The next time the machine broke down, open the laptop, put in the password, see the diagnostic. Okay, the problem is here. Rather than spending 3 hours, hit and miss, hide and seek, now we know it's here. Go fix it, voila, less than 30 minutes. That's an example. And by the way, some people were assuming the Japanese will not give it to you. And that was a self limiting belief which was challenged, and voila, they gave us after all. As long as you gave them certain assurances that we will not betray their secrets. That's an example of you as a leader now. You have to be creative and also to be open minded to solve problems. And you may have similar problems along the way, especially if, let's say, people are the problems. That's another story. So, another one is decision making. Okay, and here's another tip. I got this from Harvard Business Review. If you're a leader, sometimes you may have to give the difficult decisions or the tough calls. And it may be a damn if you do, damn if you don't. You cannot please everyone. And many
Right.
times you say, "This is my decision." And then people think, "How did you get to that? It's unfair." the best practice is first you explain the decision process, and we presume the decision parameters and the factors are fair. Makes
Mhm.
sense. So that when you give the decision, everybody buys in. And this happened when I was at my time when I had to groom my successor. I am 61 looking 51. Thank you very much. And
Even look younger, even.
thank you very much. And I'm sure
You're
you're not
welcome.
bad. You're not bad for somebody who looks 30. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. Okay. Now, what happened? I had to step down now as plant manager. Remember, I ran two operations and I had to name my successor. And there were two strong candidates, each with their own supporters and cheering squad. You know what I mean? And so now, how will I be able to announce my successor without displeasing the other one? And so, what happened was this: after a certain suspense, keep everybody guessing, no hints, no leakage, and a time came in a core group meeting. All department heads are there. The two candidates were there because they were also department heads. And so I described my criteria. Has to be hardcore technical. Has to have a has to be risen from the ranks. Okay, has to be starting from humble beginnings at the plant, going up, so that he knows the plant culture, especially on the shop floor. And so what happened also, I also said I need somebody who is so dedicated he would go to the plant even during holidays and weekends and would never leave the plant until the problem is solved. By that time, people had an idea, oh, it's candidate number one, not candidate number two. And so when I announced the name, people applauded and they had their particular said, yeah, we agree. It's a good decision. When it's named that way. And so that's where a tip for you
And
is that,
earlier, I remembered, Coach Nelson, you were highlighting emotional intelligence. So I bet that you were also looking for a person who has a very high emotional intelligence, right?
that's true. And that's where this particular person, this guy, also has a good amount of EI. He knows how to psychologize people in a good way. He also knows how to find out what makes a person tick and use it to motivate that person. Okay. And this person, I'm so proud, as of April 15, I gave my captain's chair to him. And then I let
Wow,
go. And
congrats.
it's a certain joy. I think mentor Myron, as a mentor and coach, there's few greater joys than seeing that you have groomed somebody to take over, hand over power to the next generation and let him flourish. You step out of the way rather than you cling to the power. And
Right.
then, of
May I know
course,
his name so we can acknowledge him, Coach?
his name is Adrian Tahao, Tajao, Adrian Tahao. Okay?
Tahaw.
He is by the way, an electrical engineer from
Oh,
Laguna.
nice.
So again, the classic technical expert to leader. And now he's like me before, he's now leading 200 people, 8 direct reports, 2 operations, and not to mention, he has to align with the other factories in Asia Brewery, not to mention external customers. And that's where now he comes in. He's also well favored by the other department heads who will have to be working with him. And yes, the guy who did not get the job. And by the way, I'm glad to say that there's no friction between the two of them, as far as I know. That's why now there's a good source of cooperation between the two of them. Right? So because of that, you need to have this kind of EI communication so that transitions are smooth, problems are solved well. Last but not least, and this is probably going to be well, last but not least, because technical people, they know about machines,
Yes.
process, but it's another thing to be business minded. And that's the other thing that can be your advantage if you have that compared to other technical people who have no business sense. What do you
Business
mean?
acumen, right? Mm.
Yes, business acumen, business savvy, business agility. It's the ability now to talk in terms of peso terms. Now, I don't know in your group, give me a banner if you've seen the movie Jerry Maguire. If you've
Jeremy,
seen it, you're probably over 28 years
I've
old because
seen.
that was in
I have.
1996. And you may have seen the part we're in. This guy, okay, who was telling Tom Cruise, "Show me the money, show me the money, show me the money." Okay. By the way, that's my favorite line, not the one of Renee Zellweger. You had me at hello. Oh, that's different. That's another thing. That's the romantic part. You complete me. We're not there. We're not there. We talk about money now. Okay. So If you are a technical leader, if you really, really want to be leveling up and get promoted a lot, you have to know how to talk money. And you have to talk in terms of peso terms. For example, if I'm going to propose to you something that's technical, but there are benefits to it, how much money does it mean?
Mm,
Or if I'm going to tell you we need to buy machine X, okay,
mm,
what's in it for me in terms of profitability?
yeah.
If I tell you, okay, we have two choices, machine X or machine Y, or process X, process Y, do we make it in-house or do we outsource out there? You now have to tell the decision maker what is the benefit in peso terms, which one makes more financial sense, and therefore you talk about payback period, for example. And that's where it's also critical, by the way, if you're a technical expert, pretty soon, you have to have business proposals. You have to make business cases. You cannot escape that, especially if you're an engineer. You're going to have a capex proposal, and these are the executives who are going to say, "Well, money is tight. Well, what's in it for us? When will we see our money back?" And you have to be ready to compute and show them the calculations. Okay,
Mm,
that's another story altogether. Let's go in. It's not all about money, of course, because remember, you're thinking like a businessman now. So, what are the other parts of the business you have to be aware of? And this one example is customer satisfaction. I've
mhm.
been in cases wherein there's a technical guy, again, I see in his cubicle, he's, let's say, doing software. Man, I'm good. This is a beautiful program. Oh, it's a good business plan. Oh, it's good, it's good, it's good. But when you bring it to the customer level, the customers are happy. There's a lot of bugs in the system. Okay, and customer service is not responsive. So the technical person has this broad view: will it satisfy the customer or not? So,
Right.
in other words, beware of silo mentality. The technical person is trapped in his own world, whereas in the out world out there, it's not
Yeah.
sensitive, and he has to be
Like
aware.
Coach Nelson, there is no so-called software maker or developer experience. It's always the user or customer experience, right?
Yes, correct. And that's where he has to think like that. He may be so absorbed in the program, but what about the user experience? That's something which he has to develop. And if he's able to show that in leadership, wow, it's going to be quite promotable. Second one is thinking about the company reputation. Okay, very sadly, some people, not just technical, they're just thinking about them. What about the company? And for
Yeah.
example, is the work you're doing now, how is it going to strengthen or, heaven forbid, weaken the market's trust in your company? I've been in projects wherein, okay, in Filipino, ang higpit si quality control. Okay, the quality control people, corporate call says, we only want this level defect. Huh? That's so tight. The tolerance so tight. Can we, widen a bit? No. This is a type of critical defect that if it goes out in the market, it will damage the company's reputation. In some cases, it may jeopardize the health of the consumer. And so
Correct.
that's why now all those things you have to take in. It's not just the customer, but also your employer. Think of it this way: your employer is your internal customer. And therefore, you have to support that person because, after all, his survival or his profitability is also your survival and your profitability. The technical person has to think that way for him to be really, really be effective. And
Indeed.
then one more thing, a technical person will have to think strategically. Can that person think of something that'll make the employer better than or different from competitors? Because remember, a lot of people are also doing this. So what will set us apart? And so
Yeah.
the technical person as a leader will have to think, what do we do better, or what do we do that the other people do not do? Then we leverage that. In our case, we have a certain high quality product, and our advantage is that we can sell to the discriminating the premium market. Let the other guys, the price cutting, all those low standard, that's their market. We are happy with this one, and we command, for example, our market for the Japanese people who use our carton or those who are for re-exports. So that's our advantage. And that's where now we're able to think about, okay, how will I use my technical expertise in the machine or the process or the material to add to our advantage strategically? If you can think that way, you'll be such a valuable person, and chances are you're going to be a must keep, high potential guy. Okay. And then two other tips: think like a CEO or an owner. Okay. Don't think like a technical person, and don't even think like a team leader. Think like the boss of the boss of the boss. And sometimes that's going to make a difference in the way you make decisions or lead your team. Because if the senior manager sees you like that, they're going to say, wow, this is future executive material. And guess
Yeah.
what? They will invest in you, they'll send you for training and all that. They'll give you more project opportunities. You'll grow professionally and personally. And that's where you are going to be in a sweet spot.
Know how to look at the big picture, right, coach?
Yes, you must have this big picture because now that you mention it, technical people tend to zoom in on a certain factor, a certain part of the project, but it helps to zoom out and see the bigger picture, environmental analysis, competitive analysis, financial benefits, even market advantage. What will make people buy more of your products and therefore give more money to the bottom line? If you're a contributor, guess what? You're not just a leader, you are a builder, a business builder, and maybe someday business owner. Okay. Now, what about graduate studies? You may want to entertain it. That was also another factor in my life. I mentioned that. And the beauty about the MBA can be master science as well is that it broadens your horizon. It
Mm.
helps you communicate better. It helps you to relate with other people, especially from diverse, uso na ngayon diversity, diverse backgrounds and disciplines. Just be aware of one thing: an MBA degree opens doors. But
Yes, it does. Yeah.
once you enter the door, you're inside the company, it's now still up to you to perform, to deliver, to motivate and lead. Okay? So that's one tip for you. Now, I like to end this with this quotation from Grace Hopper. Who's Grace Hopper? She was a computer scientist and
Mhm.
mathematician,
Mhm.
hardcore technical. But if you saw her bio, she also became a United States Navy Rear Admiral.
Wow.
Leadership. Wow. And so she gave this brilliant summary. You manage things and you lead people. And
Exactly.
and when you know how to manage things and lead people, you'll be unstoppable. You'll have the best of both worlds. And thank you very much. That ends my presentation. And
I
thank you.
love that, coach, right? Like people are always like thinking, why do you have to say leadership and management separately? Because they're not one and the same, right? And what's her name again? Grace Hopper. She was able to encapsulate it perfectly. Leading is for people, managing is for stuff, for things, right? For tasks, for activities.
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your presentation, your excellent presentation on the technical expert as a leader. And as much as we would like to, and it seems that there isn't any anyways, but we would just like to acknowledge, of course, the comments from just a normal day. Good evening, guys. Thank you for another interesting, I believe this is a subject or something like that. It was cut off. I always look forward to your show, Mentor. No, actually, yes, you look forward to the show because of the excellent individuals that we always bring in. So keep on supporting the show. And last comment from Real Estate Villa. This is indeed very helpful. Thanks for sharing. Thank you, Coach Nelson. And for that, again, you deserve this. Let me just show this to you real quick. Okay, Coach Nelson, before we say goodbye to our audience, is there anything that you want to promote, like an upcoming webinar or seminar? Any one of your 12 books that you want to promote that's still out there or published, that ready to be bought by our people, and anything else, your social media presence, your website, etc. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. And if I may ask you another favor, can you put back my deck because the materials are
Oh,
different?
sure, sure, sure. There you go.
All right. So I have a passion not just for communication, but also for critical thinking and problem solving. I gave you a fine example a while ago. So my webinar, my next one will be masterclass level. There are 4 mornings. It's going to be super practical. I'll give you a lecture, but I'm going to ask the participants bring to us an actual problem in your workplace, and we're going to go through the process together, use the tools, the why, the brainstorming for solution, the decision making. And that's going to be 4 mornings, May 9 and 10. 1617. It's under the Center for Global Best Practices. And if you want, you can have a snapshot of this, or let's say replay this video. The contact items are there on the lower right. Now, as far as my books are concerned, I have 12 of them. These are the top three when it comes to career development. If you're a first timer or you're navigating your way, that's going to be your first job, your career roadmap, and soaring high. The middle one, by the way, is a compilation of my advice I give to people while I was still a columnist at the Philippine Star. Okay. The other one would be if you're thinking about purpose, because here's the tip: if you're wondering what is your work purpose, it's
Yeah.
because you have to first find out your life purpose, which will then shape your work purpose. Your work supports what you want out of life. And that's why this is from Anvil Publishing. It's called This Is This All There Is? It's a journey for purpose. Okay. And that's where also has a lot of practical advice there. The other one is that if you are into intergenerational conversation, I'm a boomer. Surprise, surprise. And the co-author is a millennial. And so
Oh,
there,
nice.
yeah. And so if you're, let's say, a boomer manager, you deal with millennial and Gen Z people, this book may help. Or the other way around. I am a millennial. My boomer boss is driving me crazy. Well, this book, yeah. Okay. So you know the drill. And then these are my other books. I'll not go through them one by one, but basically
Wow,
these are.
you're a prolific book author, coach.
Thank you very much. And by the way, for those out there, even you, by the way, I would love to have a copy of your book. I know you have one book of your own. Okay. And that's where, if let's say you also want to write your book, you can get in touch with me and I can help you along the way. But these are for
I love that.
relationships and spirituality. Then, if you want to know more about me, this is my website, www.nelsontd.com. The Encircle thing tells you more about my books. And I have a blog. And then last but not least, for social media, you can connect with me, follow me at LinkedIn. And this is my website I mentioned a while ago, nelsontd.com. Subscribe to my YouTube channel because I heard you said a while ago there are YouTube blogger groups, etc.
Yes, yes.
Please check out my YouTube and subscribe to
Guys,
it.
please support Coach Nelson, our YouTuber friends out there.
Thank you very much. There are full resources where I had uploaded full webinars and talks and some reels along the way. Reels or stories, I don't know what they call them now. And last but not least, if you want to get in touch with me, I can offer advice or whatever, or we have a discovery call, how I can help you further. It's nelsontd.com@gmail.com. And so that's it. Thank you very much, Mentor Myron. I really enjoyed my conversation with you. And I do hope, audience, you also had picked up a lot. And I made your stay Saturday night super worthwhile.
Surely, no doubt about that. Once again, on behalf of everybody from MSS Business Solutions, Coach Nelson, thank you so much. And please enjoy the rest of your evening with your loved ones and, of course, your weekend. Bye for now, Coach.
Bye bye. Thank you very much. Good evening,
Thank
gentlemen.
you. Good evening, too. So there you have it, guys. We've just watched and listened to Coach Nelson D, our technical expert slash leadership expert at the same time. And please, please, guys, this 1 hour will not go anyway, right? If you guys are not going to be able to apply back to your work or to your life or to your business the learning that we got from Coach Nelson. Okay? So muli, ito po ang inyong lingkod, Mentor Myron Sta, your corporate trainer, your soft skills go-to guy, your buddy to success na nagsasabing maraming salamat po ulit and keep on supporting #Myron Kaming Advice. Sa mga darating na araw, pakibantayan po ang ating social media kasi malalaman nyo naman kung sino naman ang ating susunod na kakwentuhan. Okay? So good night, everyone. See you again next time, next week, Saturday. Bye.